Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation with a focus on the incredible power of words. Today's topic is transforming simple sentences into vivid stories, and we'll explore how adjectives can add that touch of magic to our language. On this first slide, I want to highlight that we'll be diving into how words can truly bring stories to life. So, get ready for an engaging journey into the art of storytelling through language. Let's get started. All right, let's talk about how we can make our writing more vivid and engaging. Instead of simply saying, the sun, we can add more detail by calling it the bright, yellow sun. See how that instantly paints a clearer picture in the reader's mind. That's what adding color and detail does. It brings our words to life. Adjectives are like magic words because they help us describe nouns more vividly. When we use adjectives, we're not just stating facts, we're creating images and feelings. And remember, adjectives really add color to stories. They make our descriptions richer and more interesting. So, whenever you want to make your writing or storytelling more captivating, think about how adjectives can help you add that extra splash of detail. All right, let's take a closer look at these examples. You see the phrase, that blue car. This helps us identify a specific object. When we ask which one, we're trying to pinpoint exactly which car we're talking about. Moving on, 5 apples introduces a quantity, and how many prompts us to think about counting or measuring. Then we have a funny movie. Here, we're describing a type of movie and asking what kind to classify it. All of these phrases are examples of how we ask the big questions. Which, how many, and what kind? These are essential questions that help us gather specific information. Keep in mind, these questions are at the core of understanding and describing the world around us. They guide us in making clear, precise observations, which is crucial whether we're learning, communicating, or solving problems. So, remember these 3 big questions. They're fundamental tools for clarifying meaning and gaining a deeper understanding. Let's take a closer look at some examples. For instance, you might say a long nap or a cute kitten. These words, long and cute, are what we call adjectives. They tell us important details about the noun, such as size, shape, color, or even opinion. It's also important to remember that these descriptive words usually come before the noun they describe. So you say long nap instead of nap long. This placement helps us create clear mental pictures, making our descriptions more vivid and engaging. Throughout this presentation, you'll see how adjectives help us paint a more detailed picture and make our writing more lively. They are key to expressing exactly what we want to say about the objects or people we're describing. Now let's look at some examples to understand predicate adjectives better. In example 3, we have those sneakers are mine. Here, mine is an adjective that describes the subject sneakers and comes after the linking verb are. Similarly, in example 2, the tennis ball is bright. Bright is a predicate adjective that follows is and describes the tennis ball. And in example 1, the cake is delicious. Delicious is another predicate adjective following the verb is. The key point here is that these adjectives appear after a linking verb to give us more information about the subject. This is an important concept because it helps us understand how to identify and use predicate adjectives correctly in sentences. Remember, the main idea is that predicate adjectives follow the verb and describe the subject, which ties into the overall theme of understanding sentence structure and how adjectives function in different positions. All right, let's look at how nouns can sometimes play a surprising role in our sentences. On this slide, we have 2 clear examples, the tennis ball and the bicycle shop. Now, what's interesting here is that in these phrases, the nouns, tennis and bicycle, are actually functioning as adjectives. They're describing the type of ball and shop, respectively. This is a clever way the language works, because it helps us be more specific without adding extra words. Instead of saying, a ball used for playing tennis, we simply say tennis ball. So the key takeaway here is that nouns can function as adjectives, which can make our descriptions more concise and precise. And this idea ties into the overall theme of how flexible and dynamic language can be, showing us that words often do double duty to enrich our communication. They help us know exactly what we are talking about. The word the is used for specific things like the sun or the lake. It points to something particular that both the speaker and listener know about. On the other hand, a and n are used for general things like a dog or an elephant. They refer to any one of a kind, not something specific. These words are called special adjectives or articles. They are small words, but they play a big role in helping us be clear and precise when we speak. Understanding how to use the and properly keeps our communication clear and effective. Now let's look at some examples of comparing two things using the ending. First, we have Maria is taller than Andy. Here, we're comparing the height of two people, and we add to tall to show that Maria is more tall than Andy. It's a simple way to compare two things directly. Next, we have the red train is longer than the blue one. Again, we're comparing the length of two trains, and we use with long to indicate that the red train has a greater length. The key point here is that when you're comparing two things, you add to the adjective. This is a quick and easy way to show which one has more of a certain quality. Remember, this rule works with many adjectives, especially those that are short and simple. So overall, the ending helps us compare two things clearly and efficiently, tying into our broader topic of how we make comparisons in English. All right, let's talk about comparing three or more things. When we're making comparisons like this, we add at the end of the adjective to show that something is the most extreme in a group. For example, if we want to say which day is the most cold, we say the coldest day. It's a simple way to highlight the superlative among many. Let's look at another example, the cutest smile. Here, we're pointing out the smile that is the most adorable or charming out of a group. So remember, when you're comparing three or more things and want to show the highest degree of that quality, just add to the adjective. It helps your listener understand that you're talking about the ultimate or most extreme version in that group. This concept ties into the overall theme of superlative adjectives, which are all about expressing the maximum degree of equality within a set. It's a handy way to make your comparisons clear and impactful. When we're comparing qualities or characteristics, we often want to emphasize the degree of something. For example, you might say powerful, but then want to show that something is even more powerful. In that case, we say more powerful. And if we want to go even further, we say most powerful. Now before the word, you'll often see most or more used. Most is typically used with longer words like powerful, which becomes most powerful. More is used with shorter words like strong, which becomes stronger and then strongest. When you're deciding whether to use and est endings or more and most, it usually depends on the length of the word. Generally, for shorter words, you'll use or est, like strong becoming stronger or strongest. For longer words, more and most are preferred, such as powerful turning into more powerful or most powerful. So the key is to remember, short words tend to take the and est endings, while longer words usually pair with more and most. This helps keep your language natural and clear, especially when you're trying to highlight differences in degree. Learning these is the key to becoming an expert. Now, when we look at some adjectives, you'll notice that many follow a regular pattern. For example, worst and worse become bad, and best and better turn into good. But here's where it gets interesting. Some adjectives don't follow these normal rules at all. They are what we call unique. These are irregular adjectives, or as I like to call them, rule breakers. They don't follow the usual pattern of adding or est. Instead, they change in different ways. So, mastering these irregular adjectives is really important if you want to speak or write more naturally and accurately. Remember, learning these exceptions is just as crucial as understanding the rules, because they make your language more precise and expressive. And that's what takes you from being a beginner to an expert. Go forth and make your writing truly stand out. Remember, it should be colorful, vivid, and amazing. These are the qualities that will capture your reader's attention and bring your stories to life. By using vibrant language and descriptive details, you can paint pictures with words that inspire and engage. Now you are also an adjective expert. That means choosing the right words to perfectly describe your characters, settings, and emotions. Strong, precise adjectives can transform a simple sentence into something memorable and impactful. Connecting this to our overall theme, it's about embracing your creativity and confidence as a writer. So go ahead, be bold, be vivid, and make your writing unforgettable. The world is waiting to see what you can create when you let your words shine.